Chapter 7. Where is he? April made her way through the crowded aisle of the arcade. Explosions, automatic gunfire, space battles, and car races roaring in a narrow, dimly lit room. Where is he? Near the back of the arcade, past a row of flashing pinball machines, she thought she saw him, trying to push a dollar bill into a change machine. The dollar went halfway into the slot, then came sliding out. She tried again. Matt, she called. When he finally succeeded in getting his game tokens and turned around, she saw it was some other big-shouldered, round-faced, brown-haired boy. Matt isn't here. Back on the street, she pulled down the sleeves of her olive sweater and pushed back her blonde hair, which felt damp and heavy from the humid air. Fog was drifting in from the ocean, creating strange, shifting shadows beneath the streetlights. Searching for Matt, April turned her gaze down Main Street, jammed with summer people floating in and out of the restaurants and shops. They emerged from the fog, brightened quickly into focus, then faded just as quickly back into the mist, as if stepping through a heavy curtain. Where are you, Matt? April wondered, glancing at her watch for the 1,000th time. Lost in a fog? She poked her head into Swanee's, her eyes quickly surveying the brightly lit ice cream parlor, then stepped aside to let a middle-aged couple enter. He wasn't in there either. He was supposed to have met her nearly 20 minutes earlier. The plan was to meet in front of Swanee's, then head to the beach and hook up with Todd. Hey, April! April spun around hopefully. Matt? No. It was a couple of guys she had met at the bonfire on the beach the night before. She waved. Looking good, one of them called. Then they disappeared into the lowering fog. I am looking good, April thought. She and the twins had spent the afternoon at the beach, and now she could feel the warm glow of her sunburn. She always got so pale during the winter. Now she was getting some color, feeling warm despite the cool, foggy night, feeling alive. So where was Matt? He really takes me for granted, she decided. He keeps me waiting all the time, and then he shows up without an excuse or anything. He usually just says, sorry I'm late, I got hung up, and that's supposed to be okay. The flash of warmth she felt now wasn't from her sunburn, it was from anger. Matt is a great guy, she thought, but maybe her mother was a little bit right about him. Maybe he is a little immature. April stepped to the corner and peered up and down Dune Lane, one of only 2 cross streets in town. I'm not going to wait for Matt all summer, she thought. Gazing at the shadows on the street created by swirls of fog under the corner streetlight, April suddenly sensed that she was being watched. She turns to see a tall, thin boy in a black sweatshirt and dark, straight-legged denims. He was standing on the opposite corner in front of the camera store. The curtain of fog seemed to part in front of him, and as he stepped under the white light of the street lamp, April could see him with almost exaggerated clarity. He was very handsome, she saw, with straight black hair, very pale, almost white skin, a slender, serious face, and dark eyes, which he turned away when he realized she was staring back at him. He looks like an actor or a model, April thought. He's almost too good-looking. She wondered if he was waiting for someone. Then the fog seemed to close in around him, and he became a solitary, still shadow among many moving shadows. I'm giving Matt 5 more minutes, April decided, pacing angrily back and forth between the corner and the front of the arcade. Then I'm going home. This is a bad start to the summer, she thought. She decided she'd just have to be straight with Matt. There were 2 kinds of people in the world. Those who always showed up on time and those who never showed up on time. April was always punctual. And if they were going to have a good time this summer, she decided as she paced, Matt would have to be punctual too. Glancing at her watch, she was about to give up on him when a hand touched the shoulder of her sweater. Startled, she spun around, expecting to see Matt. Instead, she stared into the penetrating dark eyes of the handsome boy she had seen across the street. Hi, he said shyly. Sorry, did I scare you? No, April lied. No. Are you lost or something? He asked. I saw you here, and I thought... His voice trailed off. He stared into her eyes. No, I'm not lost, April said with a sigh. I'm waiting for someone. Oh, sorry. The boy took a step back. He couldn't be a townie, April thought. He's so pale, but so good-looking. He flashed her an embarrassed smile. I didn't mean to bother you. That's okay, April said. She realized she didn't want him to leave. Is this your first summer here? She asked. He shook his head. No, I've been here before. It doesn't usually get this foggy in town. I know, April said. By the way, she added, feeling a bit awkward, I'm April Blair. Gabby Martins, he said, and reached out and briefly shook her hand. Gabby? That's an odd name, April blurted out. He nodded. Yeah, I know. It's short for Gabriel. Well, it's nice to meet you, Gabri, April said. He was so thin, half the size of Matt. He stared into her eyes and seemed to be reluctant to leave. He was wearing a lemony aftershave or cologne, April realized, sweet and tart at the same time. She felt drawn to him, more than just attracted because of his good looks. She had to concentrate hard to hear what he was saying. Maybe your friend got mixed up or something. Did he know to meet you here? April nodded. We were supposed to meet here, then go to the beach? Why does she suddenly feel uncertain? Maybe he got mixed up and went straight to the beach, Gabrielle suggested, taking a step closer to her as a group of teenagers squeezed past on the walk. Maybe, April replied thoughtfully. Matt usually got things right, but maybe he did get mixed up. The beach isn't very crowded tonight with this heavy fog, Gabrielle said. It shouldn't take long to find him if he's there. Yeah, I guess, April said reluctantly, but it's so dark tonight. Tell you what, I'll go with you, Gabrielle offered. He smelled so lemony, so good. He leaned toward her, his handsome face brightening out of the shadows, his eyes locked on hers. That's really nice of you, April said, but... I'm a nice guy, Gabri said, smiling to let her know he was joking, not seriously boasting, and then he quietly added, You'll see. But you don't have to take me, April started. No problem, he assured her. Come on. She felt his hand on her back as they turned the corner and began to follow Dune Lane to the ocean. To April's surprise, the curtain of fog grew lighter as they neared the beach. The town of Sandy Hollow is low, Gabri explained, sort of in a gully. When a fog floats off the ocean, it hovers over the town and stays there. Are you a science expert? April asked, teasing. Ask me anything, he said, his hand still lightly on her back. A heavy layer of low, gray clouds hovered over the shore, but the beach was clear, no fog at all. The waves were high and rough. April could see the white froth on the towering wave tops, even in the darkness. A few couples walked near the water. A group of teenagers huddled around a small bonfire, sounds from their tape player competing with the rhythmic thunder of crashing waves. No sign of Matt. Or Todd. April and Gabri, walking close together, occasionally bumping shoulders, made their way south toward the rock cliff. As they walked, he told her about a whale that had somehow lost its direction and washed ashore in the early spring. He made her laugh by imitating the frightened look on a whale's face, and then he described the heroic actions of the townies, who managed to pull the whale back out to the water and send it on its way. He's really smart and funny, April thought, and interesting. I'll bet he doesn't waste his time at stupid horror movies. She stopped and peered down the empty beach. Was she really attracted to Gabri, or was she just angry at Matt? A little of both, probably. He's not here, she said softly, staring at the steep rock cliff beyond the rowboat dock, feeling Gabri standing close behind her. But the beach is really awesome tonight. The waves are so rough. Gabri checked in all directions, making sure they were completely alone. The ocean waves thundered, black against an even blacker sky. They were surrounded by the blackness, and alone, and Gabri could resist her no longer. She was so beautiful, so perfect, so sweet. Yes, the blood would taste so sweet. He needed it now. He needed the blood. Not just because of his silly bet with Jessica, but because he needed the blood to survive. It was the blood that kept him going so many long years after he had died. It was the blood that made him an eternal one. And now he was about to drink. She stood in front of him, her back to him, arms crossed, staring at the dark, tumbling waves. He leaned forward as his fangs slid wetly down his chin. Gently, gently, he raised his hand and pushed the hair away to reveal the back of her neck. So pale, such tender skin. Breathing heavily, Gabri opened his mouth wide and lowered his head to bite. Chapter 8. Watching the waves, nearly hypnotized by their dark, rolling splendor, by the soft explosion of sound as they hit the shore, April felt Gabri somewhere close behind her. Matt isn't here, she thought. No one else is here. The beach is so empty. I've got to get home. It seemed as if a soft rush of wind was moving her hair to one side. She started to turn toward Gabri, preparing to thank him for accompanying her through the darkness. But before she could move, she felt warmth on the back of her neck, gentler than the wind, soft like breath. And then she heard the fluttering sound, followed by a hideous metallic screech. And then a dark shadow dropped from the sky. A shadow at first, then a living, screeching, clawing creature. April saw the red, glowing eyes and knew instantly that it was a bat. She cried out and raised her hands. Too late. Screeching shrilly like a car alarm gone out of control, the bat dug its talons into April's hair, Oh, help! She could feel its wings flapping against her head, feel its warm body bumping against her, feel it tangling itself in her hair, struggling, tearing, clawing. Help, please! She closed her eyes, dropped to her knees in the sand, helplessly flailing her arms above her head. The creature hissed and clawed, struggling to free itself from the long tangles of her hair. Then Gabri was there, swatting at it with his hand. The shrill screech echoed throughout her head. The wings beat furiously. Then, with a final sickening yelp, the bat broke free and was gone, soaring silently up into the blackness. April leapt to her feet. Even though she knew it was gone, she could still feel the creature bumping against her head, could still feel the beating of its wings. The ocean roared louder. The roar circled her, came at her from all sides. She pressed her hands against her ears, but the roar continued, as if it were inside her head. She suddenly realized that the sound was coming from her. She was screaming, screaming out her terror, and suddenly the whole beach started to roll. The sand was moving beneath her feet. No, the beach isn't moving. I am. She was running hard, running over the sand, running away from the shore, away from the rock cliff, gasping for breath, her chest aching, running too hard to scream now, running, running, into Matt's arms. Whoa, he cried. April, what's wrong? She held on to him tightly, waiting for her heart to stop racing, waiting for her chest to stop heaving, waiting for the feeling of the clawing bat in her hair to fade. What happened? Tell me, Matt demanded, still holding her tight, wrapping her safely in his arms. I was looking for you, April finally managed to get out, pressing her forehead against the warmth of his sweatshirt. Here, on the beach? And? He demanded impatiently. And a bat flew into my hair, it got tangled somehow, and it was screeching at me, so loud, I panicked, it was trapped, I couldn't get it out, but then Gabri... Who? Matt asked. Who's Gabri? That boy over there, April said, pointing behind her without turning around. He was so nice, he pulled the bat out, he... Who? Matt demanded. April pulled away from Matt and turned to call to Gabri. Hey? There was no one there. Far down the beach, on the high shelf of the dark rock cliff, slippery from the mists and heavy dew, two bats landed silently. As dark as the night, they began to whirl, folding and unfolding their wings as they spun in an eerily tuneless dance. They emerged from the dance in human form. Gabri, his red eyes flaring, raged at Jessica, backing her to the sharp cliff edge. You jealous fool, he shrieked. You saw that I was about to drink the blood. Why did you interrupt? She responded with scornful laughter. Are you going to push me off the cliff? She asked casually, ignoring his rage. You can't kill me, Gabri. I've been an eternal for years. Answer my question, he insisted, not backing away, not giving her room to move. Why were you spying on me? Why did you do that? Calm down and we can talk, Jessica said, holding her ground. She straightened the hem of her dark sundress, then started to button the cardigan sweater she wore on top of it. I'm not going to calm down, Gabri said heatedly. Answer me. All right, she replied, rolling her eyes. You weren't playing by the rules. Huh? Some of the fury drained from his eyes, replaced by bewilderment. You can't just attack that girl, Jessica said, shaking her head, her mane of red hair bobbing behind her. You have to make her desire you first. Are you crazy? Gabri cried, his dark features distorted by his anger. She liked me. I saw what you were doing, Jessica insisted. She wasn't even looking at you. You can't do that, Gabri. That's not our bet. Gabri raised his face to the sky and let loose an animal cry of rage. When he stopped, he seemed a little calmer. I should have let you strangle in her hair, he muttered. She laughed, a dry, humorless laugh. Stop laughing at me, he snapped. You think you're so funny. Yes, she agreed smugly. I do. He pointed at her, his eyes narrowing. I'm warning you, Jessica. You can play dirty at this game. Laugh all you want. I can play just as dirty as you. You'd better watch out. Jessica yawned loudly. You don't scare me, Gabri. You'd better watch out, he repeated, starting to spin himself back to bat form. It's those two teenagers who had better watch out, Jessica thought, smiling as she thought about Todd, about the blood, about how easily she was going to win this bet, and how much she was going to enjoy winning it. A few seconds later, two bats floated up from the rock cliff, circled the dark sky briefly, dipping low over the wildly leaping waves. Then, hissing angrily at each other, their glowing red eyes met, locked in challenge. Then they soared off, swallowed up by the heavy clouds, retreating to their lairs to wait, to plan, to dream of how they would soon quench their relentless thirst. Chapter 9. "How's the ocean?" Mr. Daniels asked, padding to the kitchen counter in the baggy bathing suit he always wore around the house. Sleepily, he poured himself another cup of coffee. Matt had gotten up early, before 8 o'clock, and feeling energetic, he had slipped out of the house without waking his parents, and taken a long walk along the beach. "It's wild," he told his father, pulling open the refrigerator door and removing a carton of orange juice. "Very descriptive," Mr. Daniels said sarcastically, standing at the counter, sipping coffee, staring out at the kitchen window at the orange sun in the clear sky. "No, I mean the waves are wild, very high, coming in at different angles," Matt said. "Don't drink from the carton," his father scolded. "Get yourself a glass." "I only wanted a sip," Matt told him, returning the carton to the fridge, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. "Did Todd call?" Mr. Daniels glanced up at the kitchen clock before replying. 9:30. "No. I was supposed to meet him last night, but we never hooked up." "He didn't call," Mr. Daniels said, yawning. "You want to play some tennis today?" "Maybe later," Matt replied. "I want to go body surfing this morning. It should be awesome with the waves so wild." He walked over to the wall phone and picked up the receiver. "Who are you calling?" his father asked, scratching his bare chest. "Todd. He'll probably want to go to the beach with me." "Hey, look, a hummingbird!" Mr. Daniels exclaimed, pointing out the window. Matt replaced the receiver and started to the window. "Where, Dad?" "In that flower." "Oh, too late. You missed it." "Are you sure it wasn't just a big fly?" Matt joked. "I had flies in my room last night as big as blue jays." "I've got to get those screens fixed," Mr. Daniels muttered, shaking his head. Carrying his coffee cup, he slid open the glass door and slipped out on the deck. "Isn't it a little early to call people?" he called in from outside. "No, Todd always gets up early," Matt said, picking up the receiver again. He found the number of Todd's beach house on the pad on the counter and quickly dialed it. The phone rang 5 times before Todd's mother picked it up. "Hi, this is Matt. Can I speak to Todd?" "Hi, Matt," she said breathlessly. "Sorry, I was out back in the garden." She took a few seconds to catch her breath. "I don't think Todd is awake yet. He came in very late. I'll go check." "What a lazy bum," Matt said, glancing at the wall clock. Todd was always a morning person. Since when did he sleep till 10:15? He heard a clunk as Todd's mother put down the phone. Then he heard her footsteps receding as she left the room to get Todd. After a long wait, Matt heard footsteps approaching, then Todd's voice, hoarse and sleep-filled. "Hello? Todd, were you still asleep?" A pause. "Yeah, I guess." A yawn. "Sorry, man. Where were you last night? April got attacked by a bat." "Huh?" "It flew right in her hair, but she's okay. Where were you?" Todd cleared his throat. "I met a girl." "Yeah?" Matt couldn't hide his surprise. Todd was always so shy and awkward with girls. "That's why you're so wrecked this morning?" Todd yawned. "She is awesome, Matt. I mean, she's hot." "Yeah? You met her on the beach?" "Uh-huh. She was lost. So we started walking on the beach. You know, I was helping her find her house. And we were talking and everything. She's beautiful, Matt. I mean, like a TV star or something." "Hey, not bad," Matt said. "Go on, man. Details, details." Todd groaned sleepily. "I can't wake up this morning," he said, his voice still hoarse. "I don't know what my problem is." "Who cares?" Matt interrupted. "What's this girl's name?" "Jessica. It got really hot and heavy, Matt. I mean, there we were on the beach, you know, in the fog, and she started really coming on to me. I mean, really," he coughed. "You should see the hickey on my neck." Matt whistled in reply. "Wow." "Yeah," Todd agreed. "She's incredible." "Well, let's go to the beach," Matt said. "We can do some body surfing, and you can tell me more." "No, I don't think so," Matt said sleepily. "I mean, not this morning, okay? I really don't feel too well. I'm so sleepy. I don't know. I feel kind of weak or something." Matt laughed. "Maybe you and Jessica overdid it, man." Todd didn't laugh. "I think I just need some more sleep," he replied seriously. "Tell you what, I'm supposed to meet Jessica in town tonight. Why don't you and April come too?" "For sure," Matt agreed enthusiastically. "But come on, Todd. The waves were excellent this morning. The water will wake you up." "No, I don't think so," Todd said, sighing wearily. "I'm just going back to sleep, okay?" He had hung up before Matt could reply. Matt replaced the receiver, trying to imagine Todd making out on the beach with a beautiful girl. Todd rarely had the nerve to ask any girl out. It had taken him months before he was comfortable enough to have a long conversation with April, Matt remembered, even though the three of them went everywhere together. Well, way to go, Todd, he thought. He wondered if this Jessica was as fabulous as Todd described. She must be awesome, he thought. Todd sounded like a total vegetable. Leaning against the counter, his hand still on the receiver, Matt wondered who he could call to go body surfing with him. April had already told him that she had to spend the day taking care of her sisters. Maybe Ben is around, he thought. He can't be at the arcade this early in the morning. He looked up Ben's number in the slim local phone directory and dialed. He let it ring 8 times, then hung up disappointed. "Hey, Dad," he called out to the deck. "Want to play some tennis?" Todd and Jessica were already side by side in a booth at the Pizza Cove when Matt and April arrived a little after 8 o'clock. "They sure look cozy," April whispered, waving to Todd across a crowded little restaurant as she squeezed past a line of kids waiting for tables. Jessica, she saw, had her arm around Todd's neck in an affectionate hug. Todd blushed as April and Matt slid into the seat across from them. "Hi, guys." "Hi, I'm Jessica," Jessica said, brushing her coppery mane of hair behind her slender, pale shoulders. She was wearing a green midriff top that revealed ivory skin above and below. April spotted a dark lipstick stain just beneath Todd's ear. Jessica certainly seems to like Todd, she thought. She seemed sort of sophisticated for him. She scolded herself for thinking that. I'm just jealous because she's so great-looking, she thought. "I've already ordered a pizza," Todd said, grinning across the table at Matt. "Are you from Shadyside, too?" Jessica asked. April and Matt answered yes at the same time. April found herself staring at Jessica's fingernails, long and perfect and painted a dramatic dark purple to match her lipstick. Leaning closer to Todd, Jessica absently ran her hand up and down his arm. Wow, is Todd enjoying this? April thought. They chatted about the beach, about the town, about their parents. April told about how Courtney buried Whitney up to her chin in the sand that afternoon, and then poured water on her head before April could stop her, and how both little girls became hysterical because April had so much trouble pulling Whitney out. As April talked, Jessica rubbed Todd's arm and playfully sifted her fingers through his curly hair, smiling at him and leaning close. Matt and I were a little like that when we first started going together, April thought, and then she found herself thinking that it wasn't like that between them anymore. The pizza arrived, steamy hot on a round metal platter. April, Matt, and Todd hungrily pulled off slices and deposited them on their plates. "I had a big dinner," Jessica explained, unable to hide her disdain, as the platter was slid across the table to her. "I couldn't eat a bite." "Just one slice?" Todd urged. "No, really," Jessica replied, looking a little ill. Just then her brown eyes opened wide. April realized she was staring at the front of the restaurant. She turned to follow Jessica's gaze. Gabry, trying to maneuver his way through the crowd in the doorway, waved to April from the street entrance. "Hey, there's Gabry," she cried, motioning for him to join them. She turned to Matt. "He's the boy I told you about last night?" Matt had a mouthful of pizza and a gob of cheese running down his chin. He nodded, but didn't raise his head. Gabry made his way to the table and stood in the aisle, his dark eyes trained on April. "Are you okay? You ran away last night, and—" "I'm so sorry," April said. "I'm really embarrassed. I acted so babyish, I know, but I'm just terrified of bats." She pushed Matt to get him to move closer to the wall and scooted over, gesturing for Gabry to squeeze in. Gabry was dressed in baggy gray shorts and a white polo shirt. His dark eyes lit with pleasure at April's invitation, and he flashed her a warm smile as he slid in beside her. "This is Matt and Todd and Jessica," she said, nodding in the direction of each. "Do you know Gabry?" she asked Jessica. Jessica shook her head. "No," she said, her hand resting possessively on Todd's shoulder. "Are you a townie?" "Yes," Gabry told her. "I've lived here all my life." "Have some pizza," Matt said, pushing the tray toward Gabry. "No, thanks," Gabry said, smiling warmly at Matt. "I just ate." "Gabry saved my life last night," April gushed. "He was so brave." Gabry raised his hands modestly as if fending off her compliments. "No, really, come on." "Tell us what happened," Jessica urged, glancing at Gabry. "Well, if Matt hadn't been half an hour late, it wouldn't have happened," April said, giving Matt a sharp poke with her elbow. He made a disgusted face. "Please, don't keep us in suspense," Jessica said, holding Todd's hand, squeezing it. April told them what had happened on the beach the night before. She could tell that Matt wasn't enjoying the story at all. He's jealous, she decided. Jealous of how Gabry rescued me. Maybe he's even jealous that I was walking with Gabry on the beach at night. "That's so scary," Jessica declared when April had finished. "I'm terrified of bats, too." "Nothing to be afraid of, really," Gabry said, leaning across the table toward Jessica. "Bats don't really bite, that's just myth." "They're just so creepy," Jessica exclaimed, holding on to Todd, making it hard for him to finish his pizza slice. Gabry told them that, in a way, he was envious of bats. He talked about how he'd always wanted to be able to fly. "It must be neat to have that freedom, to be able to spread your wings and soar," he said. He's really good-looking, April thought. He has the greatest smile. She pulled another slice of pizza onto her plate. Matt, could you pass the garlic powder, please? She asked. Sure, he said somewhat grumpily, obviously annoyed that April found Gabby so interesting. She took the glass shaker from Matt and was about to sprinkle some garlic powder on her pizza when, to her surprise, Gabby grabbed her wrist. Please, he said, immediately loosening his grip. I'm sorry, April, but I just hate the smell of garlic. I think I'm allergic to it or something. He let go of her, his expression embarrassed. No problem, April said, reaching across Matt to set the garlic powder down at his end of the table. She turned to Gabby with a puzzled pout. I've never heard of anyone being allergic to garlic. He shrugged. It's no big deal. I'm allergic to garlic too, Matt interrupted, tapping April's shoulder to get her attention, especially when it's on your breath. Everyone laughed, except Jessica. It's so hot in here, she said, fanning herself with her hand. She lowered her face to Todd's. Are you finished? I'd love to take a walk on the beach to cool off. Todd nodded and hurriedly swallowed his last bite of pizza. Yeah, okay, let's go. Anyone else want to come? Annoyance briefly crossed Jessica's face. She stood up, tossing back her long hair, pulling down the hems of her magenta short shorts. April saw Matt's eyes bulge. Okay, she thought, so Jessica is gorgeous. She gave him a sharp jab in the ribs. Don't drool on your pizza? Huh? He pretended he didn't know what she was talking about. Catch you later, Todd said happily, allowing Jessica to pull him to the door. Yeah, later, Matt repeated, still staring at Jessica's long, slender legs. Nice to meet you, Gabby called after them, but Todd and Jessica were already out the door. I like your friends, Jessica said, holding on to Todd's arm as they made their way along the shore. It was a warm, clear night. The low moon surrounded by twinkling stars made the sand glimmer. The beach surface was cream-colored, furrowed by shifting blue shadows. It's so crowded tonight. Not like last night, Todd said. Enjoying the warm night, people swarmed over the beach. Couples, groups, strollers, joggers, little kids out past their bedtime, collecting shells in the bright moonlight. Jessica kicked off her sandals and pulled Todd toward the water. Green, purple waves leapt to the shore, then flattened out with a gentle whoosh, rolling up the sand, puddling at their feet. Where are you going? He asked, pulling back. How about a swim? She gazed at him enticingly, her bare shoulders gleaming like ivory. She tugged him gently back toward the water. No way, he said, shaking his head. She pressed her lips into a dark pout. Don't you want to swim with me? Her expression turned mischievous. You don't need a swimsuit. He laughed. It's not that. It's the undertow. Oh, she said, her eyes narrowing, her expression still playful, still tugging him by the hand. You mean you're chicken? Yeah, that's it, he confessed. I'm chicken. I'm not really that good a swimmer. Sure you are, she whispered, the wind catching her hair, sending it soaring behind her. No, really, I'm not, he insisted, and I hear the undertow on the beach at night is unbelievable. Watching her face fill with disappointment, he quickly added, Besides, I just like walking with you. He's getting over his shyness, Jessica thought, pleased with herself, with the way things were going. He hasn't much personality, but he's kind of sweet. The blood is sweet, that is, very sweet. Her thirst suddenly became overwhelming. Let's walk on the dunes, she said breathlessly, squeezing his hand. It's too crowded down by the shore. He agreed without hesitating, and, putting an arm around her bare waist, led her up the sand, the rhythmic, regular wash of the waves following behind them as they half walked, half skipped. Soon they were alone in the soft valley between two mounds of sand, walking barefoot in the tall grass, breathless and eager for each other. Jessica kissed his lips first, her eyes burning into his. Then, her lips quivering in anticipation, she felt her fangs descend as she lowered her mouth to his neck. She closed her eyes dreamily and was about to bite when the scream rang out. Help me! Somebody! Please, help! A girl's scream, so shrill, so terrified, so near.